Are we starting right at 7?
Yeah, so I have a minute. So in about a minute, I'll let everyone in.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have 7 o'clock. So I'm gonna let them on in. So it's showtime.
Okay, I'll let them all in. I'll give it a second here. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our virtual travel talk with our special guest, Kent Phillips of Exodus Travel, with a focus on active and adventure travel from around the world. From self-guided, walking, cycling, and small group tours, Exodus Travels has the adventure you are looking for. My name is Janice Tyson. I'm one of the franchise owners of Expedia Cruises. The Travel Talk is being hosted by the 6 Edmonton area Expedia Cruises locations. With 6 locations and area, we have a combined total of over 140 independent travel advisors who are navigators of spectacular vacations. They are local and here for you. For those that are new and not familiar with who we are Expedia Cruises, Air, Land, and Sea Vacations. Each center is locally owned and operated, and we provide a higher level of service than what you would get from our sister online company. We can plan and manage all sorts of travel for you, such as all-inclusive resorts, ocean and river cruises, motor coach and rail tours, vacation packages, hotels, homes, or villas, flights, activities, and of course, travel insurance. Our Expedia Cruises locations are open, and we can help you over the phone, over Zoom, or in person with the required health and safety measures in place. We ask that you book an appointment for in person. Now, let us get our housekeeping out of the way. As you enter the room, you are automatically muted. You also have the choice of keeping your video on during the presentation so we can see your smiling faces. Or you may turn it off. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. If you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to type in your question in the chat box at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer as many as we can at the end. Our travel talks are designed to help you start dreaming of your next vacation, even if enough travel is currently on pause. The world will reopen again. Hopefully at the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022, we will be able to blow that dust off our passports and suitcases and board our plane onto the next adventure. I know that I cannot wait. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Kent Phillips with Exodus Travels, who is our business development manager for the Western USA and Canada. Kent, take it away.
Thank you. Thanks, Janice. And thanks to Expedia Cruises for having me. Just going to go here and share my screen. And there we go. Can everyone see my screen? Yes, good. Okay, thanks again. Thanks to Janice for that. Absolutely wonderful to be here tonight and to see all of you joining us. We're going to get you excited. I'm going to take you on around the world adventure and give you a little insight into what Exodus Travels is all about. I have a couple little videos to show you kind of how we're preparing and how our travels and trips are going to be incorporated in the new world of travel. And I know a lot of us, including those of us that work in the travel industry, are really excited to talk to you about travel and to plan your trip wherever and whenever that may be. But it's coming soon. We're seeing a lot of people really excited. They've been waiting, and like we were talking earlier about pent up travel plans. So we're here to help, and Expedia is a great agency. Expedia Cruises will help you make your dream trip come alive. So without further ado, that's me. I love starting with this picture. I'm the business development manager for Exodus Travels. I'm based actually right here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I've been in the travel industry over 20 years now in many different capacities. I've worked for Exodus for over about 4.5 years now. That's actually one of my first cycling trips not doing anything criminal there. We're being escorted actually through certain areas of Jordan where we were cycling, and just because of roadblocks and just for safety, it was amazing. And the guys here, the policemen, thought we were insane, absolutely insane for doing what we were doing. But I absolutely fell in love with cycling, and I've never really cycled before. So we'll talk about that a little later. As a company, I just got off the phone with a few of our head office staff today, and we were talking about a lot of the initiatives that we have ongoing, and a lot of this is what's dear to my heart. It's being working for a responsible travel company, and that has to do with those that we employ. So hiring local guides, working with the local communities to enrich their lives and to hire the people in those communities that don't always see tourism or traditionally maybe didn't get the benefits of tourism, and also improving the environment. So what can we do as a company to ensure that we and our clients that go to these places are taking great care in the places they visit and leaving a very minimal impact? And that's something really important, and very excited as part of our Exodus Travels Foundation and some of the work we're doing. I'm actually now, along with our staff in North America, started an 88-kilometer walking challenge this month. So I'm getting out there every day, and we're actually raising money to plant trees in Ladakh in the Himalayas in a small community. So we are hoping to plant over 500 fruit trees so they can use the fruit to sell within their community in the Himalayas. So it's a really important fundraiser that we're doing, and really proud to be a part of that, and continue to do a number of these during COVID and before as well, including in Kathmandu, where we have a local guide that also owns a little bakery, and helping to give out food to those in need. And a big initiative that we started a couple of years ago and has been going very well is banning all plastic on our trips. So just the little things that we can do as a company just to help make things that much better. So for those of you that aren't familiar with us, this is just kind of, again, some of the key points. Who is Exodus Travels? Maybe I haven't heard of you before. We are known as the world leader in active travel. That's not all we do, but I'd say about 50% of the trips that we have are active. So that could be cycling, that could be walking and hiking, what have you. And then the other half would fall under cultural, family, responsible wildlife, small ship expeditions, those sorts. We've been around a long time. Actually, I should have updated that. We just turned 47 years old. We're one of the oldest tour operators in the world, celebrating coming up on 50 years, which is incredible. And a lot of amazing clients that travel with us, a lot of repeat clientele, which is a testament to the wonderful work, the amazing trips, and for me, the incredible guides that we have, the local guides that will make these trips that much more special. And I really like to focus too on small groups, because that is important, especially for people once they get traveling again. We're seeing and feeling this kind of as it's gone by in the last few years, that people are more comfortable traveling in smaller groups. It's a lot more intimate. You'll see a lot more. And especially in this day and age, as far as safety and security and what have you, small groups are, like I say, where it's at as far as travel these days, and a lot of diversified itineraries. So you can find a destination. We travel to over 109 countries and have 500 plus different itineraries. So something you're going to find that's the right fit for you of any type of travel style that you're looking for. So I'm going to show you a video now. And this is actually our, as it says right here, keeping you safe on your next adventure, just to show you what it's going to look like when you get on the road again and how we're ensuring your safety on our trips.
COVID-19 guidelines for Exodus customers.
So this is where we have spent a lot of our past years planning and preparing for the next wave of travel. So again, ensuring a safe and secure return of adventure. We want our clients to feel comfortable when they travel with us. So new booking guarantees, new refund guarantee, flexibility of transferring your trip or deposit that you put down on a trip, complete financial protection. These are all things that are really important. And we were listening to our industry partners and our clients over the past year, and it's what's important to them. So a lot more detail on our website. And also traveling with confidence. So safe destinations, enhanced cleaning protocols, healthy small groups, specialist guidance 24/7. These are all the things that will help ensure that, that the trips go really smoothly for you. So moving into, we're going to quickly move through these quite rapidly, just so I can show you some amazing trips and get your thinking caps on of where you might want to travel. But every trip that Exodus does is rated on a scale of 1. Actually, we go as high as 9. Definitely not at that level as of yet, but we start at leisurely. Predominantly, most of our trips are in the 1 to 3, so you can see there from leisurely to moderate. And even a lot of the active trips are leisurely. And I'll use my parents as an example in a little bit. And then we get up past 3. When I talk about those trips, they're going to be more challenging. So, examples of those would be hiking Kilimanjaro in Africa. It could be the Inca Trail in Peru, going to Nepal and maybe doing some of the Everest trips, hiking around that part. And it's not always the distance maybe that you're enduring as far as cycling or walking or hiking. It could be the traction or the, on foot. What are the conditions? What's the altitude, elevation, what have you? So that's really important to making sure that you kind of identify where you fit in and also prepare for that trip that you're going to go on. Small groups, big adventure. So our group size typically max is 16. Average group size is 12. And if you've never been on a smaller group trip, I tell you what, it's a very different experience, a lot more intimate. You're going to meet a really nice group of, typically on trips, you're going to find couples, friends, and a lot of solo travelers. Approximately 55% of our travelers go solo. And the other thing is too, for solo travelers, for years, they were penalized if they wanted their own room. If you do want your own room, single supplements are very reasonable, so you don't pay a ton of money, which you used to on a lot of trips. And also you can just sign up on a regular trip and share it with the same sex individual if you're comfortable with that. So a really nice mix of people, and you really get to know those around you. And that's what makes these trips so wonderful. I've made lifelong friends on a lot of my trips just because you have more time to talk to them and speak with them and spend time with them. A big one for us is accommodation. We're not a company that uses what I call cookie cutter or major chain hotels. Sometimes when you fly into a country, obviously point A and heading back to the starting point or the ending point, you may stay in a bit of a larger property. But typically we like to delve into the region that we're visiting, really get a sense of the culture and the local region. And by doing that, we can also find these amazing properties. A lot of these are family run, local boutique. So chalets, boutique family run hotels, agriturismos or converted farmhouses, which are my favorite in Europe. And as it says here, clean, comfortable, authentic. And in a lot of places that are, as I again say, kind of off the beaten path as far as, you're in these really peaceful places. A lot of them are in national parks. You're in, you could be in the middle of an olive farm in Italy, which I've stayed in. And again, you're going to have an amazing sleep. There's not going to be a lot of guests there, so you can really enjoy your time. And again, that intimacy that you can really feel when you stay in these places. That's actually my photo of a manor that we stayed in Laheima National Park in Estonia when I did a Baltics trip. Beautiful, former distillery, 27 rooms. It had an amazing garden area, which you can't see the whole expansive area, but just beautiful little lagoons, and then a little tavern down the way where we walked, and they had a little live music and amazing home cooked food. These are the types of places you're going to stay. For me, this is huge. It's your local leaders. You won't get sound here, I don't believe, just to show you. But our leaders are from the regions and communities we visit, and that's important. They have a passion for their country. They're going to show you the best of the area. They can give you the best tips on where to get good coffee. If you want to go shopping, if you want to go off on your own in the evening, have your own meal, they have those places. And they also know everyone in the area, so that really helps. And a lot of the guides that I've met over the years are just really, really incredible people with very diverse backgrounds. They speak a lot of languages, and you'll again find that a lot of them have worked for Exodus for years, and they love their job, and they love showing the clients the best of their world. Actually, Suresh there cutting the fruit, he was our guide in Sri Lanka. And again, just showing you kind of the array of guides that we have around the world. So we're going to move through these. Again, I have a lot to show you, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but we're going to start and we're going to go through the different styles of trips we do, starting with one of the ones that I really see a lot more people interested in. I'm seeing walking clubs popping up all over the place, and people that want to get out in the outdoors and not just sit on the bus the whole time and look out a window and just get on the bus, off the bus. And they want to actually go and breathe fresh air and then enjoy maybe a winery and have a guilt-free meal at the end of an evening and get up the next day and be rejuvenated and come home feeling like you've actually accomplished something. And that's what it's all about. So walking and hiking trips, we have two styles. We have either hotel to hotel, where we'll stay at a few hand-picked hotels and where you can really experience the breadth of the region. And we'll transport your luggage, or center-based, which you'll see in a minute on one of our most popular trips in the Amalfi Coast in Italy, where we stay in this wonderful family-run boutique hotel, and we do some day walks, go visit some of the archaeological ruins, have an optional day where you can go out to the beautiful island of Capri. There's so many options there too, and you can just park yourself in one spot and enjoy the area. This is probably our most popular trip. Well, it is our most popular trip. We also do self-guided and highlights, a cultural trip. If you don't want to do a walking trip, you will have to walk a little bit here, and there's a little bit of hills, but it's a leisurely to moderate trip. And again, one of the most beautiful parts of Italy. Italy is our #1 destination. It's where we have the most trips in the whole world. Most of our active trips are about 8 days, typically from day one to the last day. This is one of the most beautiful places in Italy, and I would say in the world, to go walking and hiking. You have, the best of the Bay of Naples. You have incredible food and wine. If you're into archaeology like I am, you have some incredible history there at Pompeii and Herculaneum. On a clear day, you can climb part of Mount Vesuvius. There's just so much to explore, and you're doing it from the base of, the heart of Amalfi, Positano. My favorite, that's the last image there, Grandma in the kitchen. She's actually from the hotel. We use the Hotel du Torri. The two brothers own the hotel, and the whole family works there. And the grandma's always in the kitchen, and they make you feel like you're at home. The hospitality is exceptional, and that's how you're going to feel, and why it's one of the most popular trips. This one, I tell you, if you have a trip, your next trip is to Europe, other than Italy, which is one of my favorites. Portugal is going to be right there with it. It is one of the most beautiful countries in Europe. I love it because it's affordable. The people are amazing. The food, wine, port is incredible. The landscape, the climate, it has everything you could ever want. And again, whether you do a cycling trip, a cultural trip, walking, self-guided, it has something for everybody. And this is the trip I convinced my parents, they're in their mid-70s, to go on. They are active, but they didn't want anything too strenuous. They love wine and they love food. They also love river cruises, and I do think it's a great option. So if you want to go do a river cruise, the Douro River in Portugal is a fantastic place to do it. And I know Expedia Cruises would be the specialists at those kind of trips. So a lot of people will do a river cruise in the Douro and then do a pre or post trip in Portugal. And this is a fantastic option. So walking and wine, it's premium. My mom loved the accommodation. My dad loved the wine, but they both loved the walking because it wasn't too strenuous. It was right up their alley, and they had lots of time, lots of downtime. And when you're walking, you're in these peaceful places, and it's not a race. You have time to enjoy a wonderful, healthy lunch in a beautiful park or in a local village, some time at the winery, and then also downtime, which is really important. So, you know, you're visiting rural Portugal. I love the city of Porto. So you start and end there, always do a pre-night or two there. Fantastic. You have the Douro River, the city goes right through, and then you have the port cellars all along the river there and little restaurants. And it's just a really walkable city. The city of mosaics as well, these beautiful blue mosaics on the churches and in the train station. I can't say enough about this part of the world. And again, anyone that goes to Portugal, I don't think I've ever heard someone come back and say they didn't enjoy it. Well, we're talking about wine. Why not one of our other favorites? This is actually a staff favorite. And a lot of people have gone on honeymoons here. A lot of groups have gone on this trip. Chianti Walking and Wine in the heart of Tuscany. And again, lots of options in this part of Italy. You're in the heart of Tuscany. What I love about this trip, again, it's an 8-day trip. You are walking these beautiful rolling hills in Tuscany. The farmhouse, which is the Villa Casalta, is unbelievable. It's, again, a beautiful converted farmhouse. It has a pool. A lot of people love their stay, so it's center-based again. Who doesn't like Chianti wines? They have a little restaurant there and a little town that you can walk into. And I love that. If you want to get off and go explore on your own or go for a meal on your own, you have options to do that. 5 days gentle walking. We do a wine school in Siena and visit some of the local villages and towns, which is always for me a highlight too, just to see these smaller villages that people maybe haven't seen, you know, that only went to the major centers in Italy. So a fantastic option too if you like walking and wine. And then something completely different. Obviously, we have quite a few more. Prosecco would be another one I highly recommend. We do a hiking trip in Prosecco Hills in northern Italy, the Inca Trail. And again, one of my favorite parts in the world. I have the pleasure of living down here, and it is, if you are one like me that wants to see some of the most iconic, you know, important sites in the world, Machu Picchu is right up there as I would say top 5, you know, and I have a few other ones I always list in there. It is astounding. And whether you do hike the Inca Trail or just want to go to Peru and visit Machu Picchu without hiking, there are a lot of options there. And I also recommend, if you can fit it in, we do a really nice Amazon jungle trip, or you can piggyback that onto a Galapagos trip and go up into Ecuador. So many different options here. But if you're gonna do a once in a lifetime trip, please put Peru on it because it's a very special place. And seeing Machu Picchu in the Andes Mountains is, for me, it's been a highlight of my life by far. Oh, let me just go back there, sorry. So if you want to go do the walk and hike, you know, lots of stuff. I wrote, you know, millions and millions, that feels like emails and talked about it in presentations before, but you know, it's obviously the elevation, altitude is a little bit higher, but I didn't find it all that bad. And you see the most beautiful landscapes and camping under the stars, and the guides are incredible there, the work they do for you and to ensure you have a really wonderful trip. Cusco is stunning, the former Spanish colonial city, cobblestone streets, beautiful Plaza de Armas, which is the center of the town and worth staying a few days, and that's where you'll acclimatize before you do the trek. Again, if you're going to do some of the most iconic treks, and we were talking earlier before we started, if you're going to travel in general, especially 2022 onwards, the demand is going to be out of this world, as we say. So I'm telling people, and we've been talking within the industry that you're going to need to book early because the demand is so high right now, and it's going to be tough to get on trips. It won't be the years coming, won't be last minute bookings, that's for sure. Cycling. What we've learned about cycling, what I learned, especially after I did my first one, now I've done 4 and it completely changed my whole view of traveling. I've fallen in love with cycling and I never expected that in my life. And I realized how accessible it is. I also realized that the age range on cycling trips was really impressive to me. A lot of, when I first started, I thought it'd be mostly 20, 30, maybe 40-year-olds. And to be honest, most of our cyclists are 40 to 70. working professionals, retirees, and that's the bulk of most of our clients. But I've been on trips where there's a 60, 65-year-old that's going up a hill in Italy, and the 30-year-old is back and just huffing and puffing. You know, people have time now, they're more active and they have those time to do the pursuits. And you're seeing that in the cycling and walking culture in Canada and across the world for that matter. So we take care of all the worry. We include the bike, we just get your height. You do have to bring a helmet, whatever gear you want. I always suggest padded shorts are the key. I have cycling gloves, and then whatever else you want. I have cycling shirts. Some people bring cycling shoes and pedals, but it's not necessary unless you're doing more challenging trips. Even more important, vehicle support. So we have a passenger van. Those are typically what we use on our regular trips. As opposed to public transportation, we use private minivans or these types of vehicles. And when it's a cycling trip, we either have a trailer or room in the back. So at any point you want to get off the bike, throw it on the trailer or in the back of the minivan, and you can get to lunch. Or if you know, I've had someone on a trip before that had a really bad knee, they've had it for the day. We just get to our resting point for that evening, and the drivers are fantastic. They'll take good care of you, and it's nice to have it there. And then electric bikes have one of the real reasons why we're seeing a lot more accessibility, you know, because now, for example, couples can go together that maybe at different levels. Someone's has a little more experience, someone's maybe a little more cautious or hasn't done one of these. And a lot of the people I've met on my cycling trips cycled a little bit, but they hadn't cycled abroad, so they're maybe a little nervous. Go on an electric bike, they're fantastic. And you're again seeing so many more now. I'm seeing them all over Canada. River cruises now have them. And again, as it says, ideal for couples at different fitness levels. We have lots in Europe and now more in Southeast Asia as well. You still pedal, but you get that extra momentum and energy, especially if you're doing a few hills where you may do in a place like Croatia or Italy. So a few of our favorites, the Dalmatian coast. We also do a great cultural trip here, which pretty much does a very similar itinerary, split down to Dubrovnik, seeing the best of the coastline and some of the islands. And I really love these trips because you're not just staying on the mainland. You are getting some of the beautiful islands, for me, especially Korčula, which is astounding. And the views that you get from the tops of these islands down into the Adriatic Sea is just mind-numbing. It's like a photographer's paradise. So, you know, people ask when's the best time to go on an active holiday. For me, it's spring and fall. So I love May and I love late September, and October I think is perfect. The weather is more mild, you know, and cooler at night, which I would say most Canadians prefer. Less people, you know, as opposed to summer, which we steer very clear of. Most of our trips are kind of circumvent the high season and the heat. So it's a perfect time to go. And again, doing some pre and post. We stay in some wonderful little properties, agriturismos. We have amazing food on this trip. And again, it's a nice mix of the mainland and some of the islands. Now, I can't talk about this trip enough. Again, if you're going to go to Italy, or if you've been to Italy, this is a place I recommend. It's still surprisingly a little bit off the Canadian radar. I fell in love with this part of Italy, down in the southeast. Cycling Puglia Matera, and again, we can do all different types of trips here. So no matter what kind of traveler you are, I highly recommend this part of Italy. You will love it. It's more affordable. It's more off the beaten path. And it is just, you know, every town you go to is UNESCO World Heritage Site. Olive groves as far as the eye can see. I had some of the best meals, some of the best wine I've had in a long time. Fly into Bari, it's about an hour transfer to the historic center of Matera, which you're going to see some photos. People have been living there shockingly for about 9,000 years, all built out of limestone rock. And again, very walkable, a wonderful little boutique shops and cafes and tapa bars and what have you. And we stay at this beautiful hotel with a veranda overlooking the historic center of Matera. Alba Rebello, you may have seen the truly coned homes. They're historic. You see them in every travel magazine and poster, which you'll see. Ostuni down through the olive groves, staying in a converted farmhouse. The important historic port city of Gallipoli, over to the wonderful fishing village of Otranto, which I loved, and then to the historic city of Lecce. And again, you know, you can do some post trips too. Italian rail system is fantastic. Some people might do a Mediterranean cruise as well. And you get to see, you know, you're kind of seeing the best of the coastline and also getting a chance to swim in this beautiful crystal clear blue water. And when I was there at the end of October, it was raining and flooding in Venice. We were down here, 25 degrees, blue sky. So there's Christina. That's our backdrop of Alba Rebello. We actually get to stay in one of those traditional coned houses, if you will. The shot in the middle there is Matera with the fog rolling through. That's me taking my coffee on the veranda early in the morning, getting those views. And cycling, as I said, accessible. A lot of people get concerned because they think about cycling in parts of Canada where you're fighting traffic all the time. In Europe, they dedicate great areas, especially in rural areas, to bike paths. And it's the best way to cycle because you can talk to your neighbor. You're not worried about traffic, and then stop in these beautiful locales, small villages, meet the locals, have a coffee. What a wonderful experience. And these are all my photos here. So on the left is the beautiful village, the coastal town of Otranto, a little place we stopped for lunch and got to swim in that water, and it was just locals, and it was unbelievable. You could see the bottom from quite high up, actually, and I had a wonderful stay there. That's myself cycling out from the farmhouse. Another shot of the historic center of Matera. Gallipoli on the left with the beautiful walled city. Had one of the best seafood meals I had in Italy there. And there is Alberobello, again, one of my favorite little places. And you get all these cute little boutique restaurants and shops and galleries there. And it's just a pleasure to walk around. This was a highlight of the trip. No one wanted to leave. This is our Masaraya, it's called. It's a converted farmhouse. And this is actually a working olive farm. Again, one of the most peaceful places I've ever stayed. Family run, unbelievable hospitality. You walk in, and again, you feel like you're part of the family. We did an olive oil tasting here, 5-course meal, jumped in the pool when we got off our bikes, did a bit of yoga the next morning for whoever wanted to take part. And again, it's breathtaking, and you get up and you feel good in the morning, and you're ready to go again. And you're in these places that not a lot of people get to see. So what makes it really special. So moving on to another style of travel, small group cultural. So again, if you're not into cycling, you're maybe not quite ready for a walking holiday, we do some incredible cultural trips. And so every trip we do, you're going to find all different types. So if we go to Greece, you can walk on the Greek islands, you can do a cycling Greece trip. Or for those that really want to delve into the history and the archaeology of Greece, how many people actually go and visit the mainland of Greece outside of Athens? Typically not many. Most people use Athens as a gateway for a Mediterranean cruise or to visit some of the islands of Ios and Naxos, Santorini, what you will. But again, a perfect pre or post Mediterranean cruise option. Or if you want to do some of the islands and then delve, like I said, into some of the beautiful ancient sites. Olympia, of course, you're going to spend time in Athens. You got to see, the Acropolis, of course, and you have a tour leader and an archaeological guide. Very important. We have a lot of specialists that go on our trips because we don't want to just see the sites. We want to learn about them from the experts, and that's what you're going to see on a Highlights of Ancient Greece 9-day trip. So a lot of people will piggyback this trip with either another trip in Greece or, like I said, a Mediterranean cruise is really popular. The Holy Land continues to be really, really important. Again, I had the pleasure of living in this part of the world in a former lifetime. So it's a place dear to my heart. And what I love about it is the history. It's just, you feel like you've stepped back in time. And Jordan is one of our most popular destinations. So you can just go to Jordan and you can do cultural. Like I said, my first trip was cycling to Jordan. We do some hiking there. But a lot of people want to also, they're so close to Israel. So, if you're going to go to Jordan and you have the time, you can see the Dead Sea from both sides, which is a really wonderful experience. You can go to Bethlehem and Jerusalem, which is a place like nowhere else in the world. If anyone's actually been there before, it's so hard to describe. And then the bustling cosmopolitan city of Tel Aviv. So that can also be combined with Egypt as a really nice, option too. And a highlight's going to be for Jordan, especially, is Petra. If you grew up watching Indiana Jones like I did, it was a place that I had to visit, and it did not disappoint. On a lot of our trips, we actually spent 2 days there because there's so much more there to see than I ever realized. And going to Wadi Rum in the desert, which is famous for a lot of films that have been done down there, and amazing hosts out in the Wadi Rum where we get to spend the night under the stars, and it's a really magical place. Absolutely imperative that you visit Wadi Rum. And I would say on a list of, I was just talking to my boss today, and he swears by Sicily. He says, if you were to go to one place and one trip in the world, it would be Sicily. It's his favorite place. Him and his wife go there every year to do a culinary course. And it's funny, we were talking about it this morning and how much he loves Sicily. Just, he says it's got a heartbeat to it that he doesn't feel everywhere that he travels to. And, of course, so many different trips here, but beautiful water. So it's great for families too, couples, groups, because you have the water, you have the Baroque heritage, you have the amazing archaeological sites, incredible food and wine, very distinct from the mainland of Italy, very separate for that matter. We stay in some beautiful properties here, and kind of a nice mix. It's obvious this is a cultural trip, but we do some walking as well, which is a really, really nice way to see the island of Sicily on this holiday. So definitely check out Sicily. I haven't been there yet, but after my boss swears by it, it's on my list of must places to go. Moving on here, I'll go a little quickly through the last few. Wildlife. This one is dear to my heart because I love animals. But over the years, I have seen a lot of negative wildlife tourism that sadly still persists today. So please, I implore people when I talk to them, if you are going to go on a holiday that involves any type of animals, sea creatures, make sure you're doing it responsibly. Because like I said, there's just so many places in the world where you're still seeing people that either aren't educated or they're only for profit. And for us to be able to do wildlife, sustainable wildlife viewing and going to these places and, like Borneo, Costa Rica, Africa, Central South America, ensuring that the next generation can see them in the wild instead of in a sanctuary or zoo. It's very important, as it is with the climate and how we take care of the earth. So with wildlife, we do ensure that a lot of initiative has gone in. I talked about the Exeter Foundation earlier. So one of them is actually our Tigers in the Wild in India, where we protect tigers in the wild in communities by employing locals to do anti-poaching programs, to building fences that protect communities and schools, and to educating locals about the benefits of tourism. So that's been wonderful. And actually in the last few years, we've had the highest rate of success of seeing tigers in the wild. And then of course, Africa is always going to be on a dream list for people out there, and of course for families to go see, say, the Big Five and go on safari. You can also go and do the iconic trek of Kilimanjaro, which is a highlight for a lot of people. One of my favorite places to go, I haven't been to Namibia, but Botswana to this day is one of my favorite places in the world. Wild and a lot of game viewing and just a really fantastic place. Okavango Delta, it's got a little bit of everything. Chobe National Park, one of the most beautiful national parks in the country. And then you've got Namibia, which has a really nice mix. You've got the sand dunes. You can walk with Bushmen, the Kalahari Desert. And also we do a little bit of kayaking there if people are wanting to, and you also have coastline, which you don't get on obviously a lot of trips in Africa. And you can also extend that. We do a great trip from Cape Town. You can do the wine region all the way up through Namibia, through Botswana, and then in Vic Falls and see the Great Victoria Falls. So camping or lodge base. So again, budget conscious, or if you want to go a little bit higher end, more luxury, you can do lodge based as well. And we do throughout Africa, depending on which part of that great area you want to see. Family. So didn't used to be a lot of choice. I call this kind of outside the box. Costa Rica was always kind of, for me, in my mind, it was one of the first places I went internationally with my family. And it was, a place where I found it was kind of that first step into adventure travel, if you want to call it adventure travel, outside of what we typically did as travelers back in the day. So it's great for couples, great for families. You can go and do adrenaline activities. You can sit on the beach. You can go view the amazing wildlife. It has something for everybody. It is, basically they started ecotourism in Costa Rica, and it's kind of taken off in a lot of other places from there. But, a great education for kids too. So we have a number of family holidays, Morocco, Jordan, Africa, Costa Rica. There's a few of them, but some really, really unique trips and options for families out there if you're looking for something a little bit different than the norm. Moving into small ship cruises and expeditions, I touched on Galapagos. So if you do have the time and the budget and you're going to Peru, include Galapagos, because you can easily get from one country to the other, and it's worth seeing. Galapagos, again, very protected area. And I'm going to say that, as we spoke of before, it's going to be in high demand. If you don't book Galapagos early, you will not get in. They limit the number of travelers there, and there's only so many options. And it is such a sensitive environmental area, which is why they only limit so many travelers. But we have a few beautiful boats that we use here. We also have a sailing yacht that we use, and some luxury vessels as well. This is one of them, or one of the ships we use, the Evolution. So, important, fully air conditioned. It gets hot down there. You know, lots of room, and what we like to say is small ship. So a lot of these trips that you're going to see, maximum group on this one, 32 passengers. There's a beautiful sun deck. You're going to get out and explore. We can go snorkeling and see a lot of the wildlife, and also get off onto some of the islands to see what we can see out there. Amazing flora and fauna. So a number of different itineraries if you're looking at Galapagos that visit different islands, and different amounts of days, and also of vessels that you can choose from. And then just showing some of the wonderful shots of the lounge area, bedrooms, and a highlight for a lot of people. Egypt, this was supposed to be my last trip. I still have my ticket with KLM credit. So I'm gonna go back. I was really looking forward to getting back to this part of the world. So the Nile cruise is a premium trip. People ask what's the best value in travel for land adventure, and I would say Egypt and Morocco, two fantastic choices. Great climate, great history, lots to see and do. And of course, you know, if you are someone, as I touched on, want to go see Machu Picchu or Angkor Wat in Cambodia, you've got to put the pyramids in Egypt on that list. So here, 9 days, maximum group of 20 on the boat. There's only 100 people. We get to experience the Great Pyramids, the treasures of King Hut, the amazing valleys of the kings, and we spend 4 nights on the boat and 4 nights in hotels, so it's a nice mix. And we include a flight on this one from Cairo down to Luxor, so you get a great mix of, you know, you don't have to go all the way overland, which not a lot of people are going to want to do from Cairo to Luxor, so you can actually enjoy and get the most out of this trip. And again, a lot of people will mix that trip with Jordan and Israel. And then lastly, one of the probably the biggest changes I've seen in the industry is with this self-guided. Didn't really exist for many years, and now becoming a lot more popular, and I'll quickly go over what that means. So self-guided, this is predominantly in Europe only, on the more leisurely side of active. So these are walking, cycling, and center-based or point-to-point. And as it says here, the fitness levels, self-guided range, typically in 1 to 3. There's a few that go higher, but you know, depart whenever you want. So these aren't set in stone. A lot of times you can't find the right trip because the dates don't work for you. We're a lot more flexible on self-guided because we have a number of dates we can choose. We just have to double check the accommodations available. You can do as much as you want or as little as you want. You're not tied to groups, so it's great for couples, families. We're seeing a lot of multi-generational families do them as well. As it says, freedom to pause or power on, 24-hour supported destination. Your luggage is transferred, fantastic accommodation, which is a lot of meals included. Add to a pre or post river cruise, as like it says here, many depart every day or every 2 days, and that can be tricky, trying to line up with a river cruise or a cruise, and some mixed activity options as well. So accommodation, greeted on arrival, a lot of meals. The luggage is the big one. You don't have to worry about that. Meticulously planned routes. The route trip notes will give you details, you know, and where you don't have a guide, you will have these notes that tell you exactly where to go, maybe what restaurants to check out, cafes, shops, everything is there for you. You just have a little more independence on it. And if you're doing a cycling trip, you can get a GPS app. There's no data required, no Wi-Fi that you can have to use. So everything's being revolutionized as far as technology now, so you don't have to use the old paper maps. So again, just something that's a little bit different. And the accommodation, and I've talked to a number of people. I haven't done one yet, but between staff and people I know that have done them, absolutely loved self-guided, especially if they're a little more independent minded. Here's one of the properties we use in Spain on the Catalan Classic Walk. It's a 700-year-old castle. We talk about authentic, unique, different, just a beautiful place. 4-star hotel, 57 bedrooms, just impressive. And these are the types of places you're going to stay in. Families are welcome. So I have my old boss and her husband and 2 kids did a Loire, France leisurely cycling trip. So mom and dad spent a bit more time doing the wineries and the kids spent a bit more time in the pool. Perfect. And we can take some younger kids too. We just have to check to make sure we have the equipment. So quickly, just a few. Chateau of Loire Walk in France. This is one of our most popular areas. Beautiful in spring with the wildflower season, amazing food. We do, you know, 5-course meals here. If you love chateaus, well, you got to go here because they have over 300 of them. And you're going to visit many of them, and you're going to eat well, and you're going to love this area. Little wine villages, amazing little boutique-lined streets, incredible river views over the Loire River. So kind of an off-the-beaten-path destination in France that's you know, very leisurely. And here, you know, just some of the beautiful chateaus and impressive gardens that you can see here. And I love seeing some of the wildflowers in Europe in the spring and also at times in the fall that are just beautiful. Provence, another one, landscapes of Luberon. And of course, lavender, you know, it just stands out. It's just impressive. And again, I was talking to somebody that goes here every year and says when he retires, he's going to live here. So you get that, again, the mix of lavender, herbs, olives, pine, colorful flowers, and, you know, cliffs and beautiful little villages where you stay, and amazing wine and food. So going to Europe and doing these trips, you're going to get away from, again, the busyness and the quick pace kind of feel that you get when you're doing kind of a more urban tour, if you will, or ABC tour. You know, take a breath and get some fresh air and go visit the locals in some of these places. We have lots in the UK, so a lot of new trips. We get a lot of requests, Scotland, Ireland, and England. So we've heeded the advice and added a lot more trips. So we do a trip to Hadrian's Wall, one of the most impressive Roman empires, which showcases all these amazing forts and UNESCO sites across this area. And again, this is Britain's largest historical monument. So one of our most popular trips that we've had in the last 2 years. Again, lots of the ancient Roman forts. We walk west to east. And it's interesting when you start learning about these, if you walk a certain way, it's because of the wind and getting better views and just the scenery. I've spent time up in the Lake District in this part of England. It's just beautiful, just stunning. And you're just a hop, skip, and a jump from Scotland. So very close. And I love the little B&Bs, just hearty breakfast, the local ales, and the local hospitality. A new one we've added, people ask about cycling, but they don't want to do hills. We'll go to Holland then, because it's all flat there. Everything's pretty close. So getting from place to place, and they love biking more than anyone else on earth. There are more bikes than people, I believe. They've done the stats. And windmills. If you like windmills, cheese, and bikes, you got to go to Holland. Fantastic place to go on a self-guided trip. This is the Pearls of Holland cycling trip, and you get to discover all the little towns. Of course, in Amsterdam, the Van Gogh Museum, maybe the Heineken beer factory. And for me, one of the most impressive times of year to go, and I've been there in spring. It's just beautiful, April and early May. You get the famous tulip fields, which is a highlight for those that love gardens and love flowers. And that, my friends, is a quick around the world with Exodus Travels. Are we all safe?
Thank you very much, Kent.
I feel like on these, I'm talking to myself and I'm just daydreaming about traveling again.
Well, from what I can hear, the presentations, I hope it has inspired everyone. I look at I was looking at all your tours, and what I see is a trend of you can eat and drink, exercise at the same time, and you don't put any weight on these trips.
Absolutely, guilt-free.
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity and beautiful scenery. Right now, I don't see any questions, but I have a question for you. Next year is Floriade in the Netherlands. Floriade, it's the big horticultural festival. Is Exodus doing anything as part of a tour while they're there that you're aware of?
Ooh, that's a good question. You stumped me, Janice. I'll have to check. We just added some of these. They're brand new. Like I've just been reading about them because I'm excited. So yeah, that's a good question. I'll look into that.
Okay, I have two. Let me see here. So
my mom would be interested in that one because she does garden tours. So
yeah, so it's a big festival. So
wonderful.
We hope there's no questions. Everyone's a great presentation is what we're getting for responses in the chat. And we're very grateful for that, all that attended. We hope this has inspired you to try something different for your next vacation. It's for me, I am doing Portugal and Italy next year on cycling, so I'm looking forward to that. And I encourage all of you that have been on Facebook or called in on here that you reach out to your Expedia Cruises consultant. And if you don't have one, go to your nearest Expedia Cruises in your area and reach out to them, and they can help start planning your vacation for 2022 and beyond. It is filling up, right?
Absolutely.
It's filling up.
Oh yeah, demand is huge, and we all want to go.
And as people slowly get vaccinated, people are starting to realize. So don't wait. Definitely reach out to your consultant. We're here to support you and help you through from start to end. Oh, there is a question here.
I saw a
on the
couple
s-
questions. I saw one about booking and I do want to touch on that. So
Okay, go ahead.
again, I didn't have time to get into it fully, but a lot more flexibility with booking as far as like refund guarantees and flexibility of deposits. And, you know, we're going to be a lot more flexible, but it doesn't hurt to get your booking, like start planning now and booking now because of that demand we talked about, but it's flexible now. So that's the real joy of it. And I hope that I briefly saw a question come up about it. And again, that's what we're seeing. 2022 is now, it's just in the last month, I'm just seeing the uptick significantly in bookings.
There is another question here on the self-guided tours. Can you stay
Yes.
longer at the hotel than the time allotted? I take longer than 8 days.
So that's a good question. So yeah, absolutely. Great question. So what I would say to that is, as I mentioned briefly on our walking holidays and on our self-guided holidays, you can choose between point to point or center-based. And I know that you might be talking about something a little different. If maybe you get to a place and you love it and you want to stay. So you kind of have to choose because you've kind of got the itinerary set. Now, I can't say for sure that if you decided that you didn't want to go to the next hotel, you could always maybe talk to the hotel concierge or front desk, but typically no, it's got to be one or the other, a point to point or a center based. But there are quite a few options that you can look at for both. So again, I don't know if that specifically answered that question, because the itineraries are kind of still set. It's just a matter you choose how you want to.
Okay. So everyone's looking forward to travel. Yeah, great comment there,
Are
Karen.
we?
Everyone's looking to go. So just to close off, if there's no other questions, our next travel talk will be Thursday, March 18th at 7 p.m. with Oceania Cruises featuring South America. I want to thank Kent for an amazing presentation. Again, it was fantastic.
Thank you.
Please be sure to follow your center on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter to stay up to date on all things travel. And as there's no more questions, on behalf of all of us here at Expedia Cruises, Air, Land, and Sea Vacations, I want to thank our valued clients and all of you for joining us this evening. Until next week, good night, and thank you for, again, a wonderful
Thank you,
presentation.
everyone. Please get a hold of your special at Expedia Cruises. If they have any questions, they know where to find me. So,
Perfect. Thanks, Kent.
okay, have a wonderful night, everyone. Take care. Okay, bye.